He doesn't want us to cut through our chains.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at the Saw traps that help propel the series to such popularity.
I ask you, Special Agent Strong, have you learned enough to trust me?
Number 30. The Brazen Bull, Saw 3D. Jigsaw sure knows his history. This trap shows just how grisly his throwback to ancient times can be. The Brazen Bull is based on an ancient Greek form of punishment.
Joyce?
Bobby! Bobby! Bobby, I'm here!
The victim is encased in a platform before being straight up roasted. Bobby Dagan's wife Joyce is the unfortunate soul who suffers this fate. The trap itself is something of a one-hit kill, as there's no way to escape unless Bobby succeeds at his own test. The latter must deactivate the trap by hoisting himself up to the ceiling. That's easier said than done, considering Bobby has to pull on his pectoral muscles to complete his goal. As expected, Bobby fails his test, and Joyce endures a truly ghastly end right before her husband's eyes. Number 29. The Rack, Saw 3. The moment Jigsaw admits this trap is his favorite, you know poor Timothy isn't walking out of this one.
The device Timothy is strapped to is my personal favorite.
Although it chronologically appears near the end of Jigsaw's life, the villain was working on it long before. Timothy, the young man responsible for accidentally causing the death of Jeff's son, is strapped to a mechanism that twists his limbs. The longer Jeff takes to free him, the more limbs Timothy loses. Jeff has to unhook the key from a precariously placed shotgun, but takes far too long. His slow attempts cost both Timothy and Judge Halden their lives, with Timothy experiencing a terrible downfall.
Got the key.
The Rack is a display of Jigsaw's ruthless mentality, as he considers this a fitting retribution for Timothy's mistake. Number 28. Brain Surgery Trap, Saw 10. Being one of the more straightforward traps doesn't make this any less gruesome. Here, Mateo has to fish out a part of his own brain to survive. Bound to a chair, Mateo has to remove his cerebral tissue and dissolve it in acid.
The rules are simple. Place a big enough piece of your cerebral tissue into the glass enzyme tank.
Failure to abide by the rules incurs electrical shocks. Meanwhile, a mask fitted with steam coils clasps the face once the timer runs out. With little to no choice before him, Mateo starts to play the game. Too bad for him, he wastes too much to get going and fails to finish before the clock stops ticking. It isn't great viewing for those who tend to get queasy, but considering Mateo's role in Jigsaw's fake brain surgery, the trap serves as a case of poetic justice.
Okay, great. We're gonna put you back to sleep. I'm gonna count down from 10, 9.
Number 27. Necktie Trap, Saw 5. It's always fun to start with a fast-paced trap, and the Fatal Five's tests begin here. The catch is the collar around each victim that retracts into a blade on the wall. Although 5 compartments contain a key each, a single cable connects them. This means only one person can move forward while the rest are pulled back. A 60-second timer adds further urgency to the game.
Maybe it's testing our endurance.
We've got to move, babe. That time is connected to those jars.
With survival in mind, each player runs for it, initiating a chaotic minute where the slowest or weakest person's death is guaranteed. In this case, it's Ashley. The trap subtly indicates the test's theme of teamwork. As the characters later realize, one person could have gotten everyone's key if they'd worked together.
It was meant for 5 people. They all were every game. We only needed one key in the first room. They all worked and any one of them would have opened every collar.
Number 26. Razor Wire Maze, Saw. Among the first traps showcased in the series, fans got a taste of just how fear-inducing Saw could be.
He was given 2 hours.
Paul is captured by Jigsaw and Hoffman to learn a cruel lesson. The victim is sealed in a basement that he has to crawl through to escape. Oh, and there's a small matter of wading through countless collections of razor wires. Paul is pretty much set up to fail, as the panicked man loses rational thought and tries to speed through the maze. It's easy to feel bad for the character considering his history of depression and attempts to seek help. Still, the trap establishes Jigsaw as an absolute force that takes no mercy.
You're not done yet. Tonight you will see the difference between killing
and rehabilitation.
Number 25. Steam Maze. Saw 6. Another trap that highlights just how adrenaline-pumping Saw can be, this one also illustrates how quickly a friend can turn into a foe. The main test subject, William, has to redirect steam from pipes around him to grant Debbie safe passage below.
You have seen the flaws in your policy, but what you have not seen is the extent some people will go to when faced with death.
Of course, since this requires significant pain, Williams' assistance comes with its stumbles. Even after helping Debbie through, things are far from over. We learn that the key to the device that will kill Debbie is inside William.
What are you waiting for? Is it you?
Her decision to kill William doesn't pan out as she runs out of time and goes out swinging. With limited time and options, it's hard to blame Debbie for the way she reacted. Additionally, William learns the desperation one feels when faced with death. Number 24. Scalping Seat. Saw 4.
The person in front of you is in desperate need of help, but it is not your job to save them.
If you've been thinking about getting a haircut, then this trap will convince you that it's a good idea. Brenda is bound to a seat and has her hair pulled when the timer begins. Rig has to free her by reading the lock combination revealed through the twisting gears. Because of the necessary waiting time, Brenda's slow torment is inevitable until Rig can read the entire combination. Despite technically saving her life, Rig gets into a scuffle with Brenda, and the latter dies anyway. While it seems unfair, the finale reveals that every victim would have been safe if Rig had left them alone. The scalping seat is the first warning for Rig to let people save themselves.
Will you learn how to let go and truly save them?
Number 23. Death Mask. Saw 2. Jigsaw targets the authorities on his trail and uses Eric Matthews' informant Michael Marks to send a message.
Ask whoever wrote it.
Michael awakes with a spiky contraption around his head that will snap shut within 60 seconds. The only way to avoid a nasty demise is by removing a key right below his eye. Performing such a grueling task in such a short period requires a clear mind and willingness to bear pain. Michael isn't prepared for either. Giving up isn't exactly an option in a Jigsaw game, so all that waits for Michael at the end is a quick death. The death mask is the first to tease the involvement of Jigsaw's apprentices, as Dr. Gordon is ultimately revealed to be the co-conspirator of this trap.
Without you, my work over the last few years would not have been possible.
Number 22. Shotgun Keys. Jigsaw. An underrated aspect of Saw is that the games are just as psychological as they are physical. Chronologically, Jigsaw demonstrates this in the final film between Ryan and Anna. After making his presence known, Jigsaw offers the pair their key to freedom.
Is your key to freedom?
Unaware of Jigsaw's knack for being literal with his clues, the two assume it's a fight to the death with the gun he leaves. Anna is the first to shoot, only to perish when the gun backfires. Ryan realizes too late that the shotgun shell contains the keys for their release. It's a clever trap that didn't require any elaborate set designs. Instead, the character needed to value the other's life in order to leave with their own.
We could have been free, Anna.
Number 21. Razor Box Trap. Saw 2. There aren't many Jigsaw traps as easy to complete as this one. Then again, Jigsaw planned on the nerve gas house victims to be dazed out by the time they got to it.
You only have 2 hours to live. Right now, you are breathing in a deadly nerve agent. You've been breathing it since you arrived here.
Addison stumbles upon the razor box trap but doesn't bother to listen to the tape. Seizing her opportunity, she reaches for an antidote but gets her hand stuck. A simple way out would have been to use the other hand to lift up the blades to release herself. Unfortunately, she goes for the opening next to it and is completely trapped. Her death is so agonizing that the movie doesn't even play it out. It goes to show that even when you think Jigsaw is going easy on someone, he really isn't.
Oh, yes. There will be blood.
Number 20. Oxygen Crusher. Saw 6. After William Easton is abducted, he wakes up to find this trap, also known as the breathing room, as his first test.
The only escape is in the other's failure.
The objective is to outlive the opponent, with the victims hooked to a machine that detects their breathing and progressively puts pressure on their chest.
Hold your breath.
It's an effective trap that rules out any chance of cheating, as the characters' breaths are taken into account no matter how much they try to get away with it. The only issue is the unfairness of the situation, as William's opponent is a man riddled with heart disease, which basically sets him up to fail. Still, the tension felt in this scene is hard to miss, especially when the trap reaches its crushing conclusion. Number 19. Pendulum Trap, Saw 5.
Hello, Seth. I want to play a game.
The fifth movie's opening shows Seth Baxter, a convicted criminal, let out on a technicality, bound to a metal table when his game begins. The rules seem simple enough, with the only way out by activating a mechanism that forces Seth to offer his hands to save his life.
You must insert your hands and push the buttons to start the devices before you.
The motivation to complete this painful task is the presence of a pendulum blade that swings closer towards Seth unless he completes the requirement.
What's the matter, Medic?
Unfortunately, this trap is rigged by Mark Hoffman, who uses it as a way to avenge Seth's killing of his sister. Seth did deserve to pay for his crimes, but there's no denying he did win this trap fair and square. It also leads to Jigsaw capturing Hoffman for copying his MO and setting him up as his apprentice. Number 18. Horsepower Trap, Saw 3D.
Hello, Evan. I want to play a game.
Appropriately called the Horsepower Trap, this game involves the main subject being glued to a car seat, with the goal being to reach for the lever to free not only himself, but a number of his friends. The price of failure is the resulting chain of deaths, as the car is intended to release and cause a painful end to these characters. True to its nature, the trap carries a sense of urgency, as the man literally tears himself apart to pull the lever. Unfortunately, the timer runs out anyway, spelling everyone's doom, as in the end, his efforts don't matter. Considering so many lives are on the line here, this game represents how Jigsaw considers life to be a race against time. Number 17. Drill Chair, Saw.
Awake already, Jeff. I need more powerful tranquilizers next time.
The drill chair is a simple but terrifying game, as the victim is left at the mercy of another person to prevent a truly awful demise.
Now you'll make a choice. In 20 seconds, the life of this man will be ended.
Shut up and get down here! What did you do? Turn it off!
It's not known what the actual game was meant to be here, as Jigsaw activates it to distract detectives away from him.
Tell him how to stop it, asshole!
One key will unlock it.
Where is it?
When Sing and Tap find the hapless Jeff strapped to this chair, they have precious few moments to figure out how to save the man. Their attempts to use the keys to unlock his binds is never really an option, however, not with the drills approaching dangerously close to Jeff. In the end, Sing cleverly shoots the drills instead, providing a rare example of a character quick thinking their way out of a game. Number 16. Classroom Trap, Saw 3. Troy finds himself chained to a chair in a classroom where he receives instructions that the only way to be free is to pull on the chains pierced into his body.
More comfortable in chains than you are in freedom.
As expected, this is far from an easy task, although Troy does muster a remarkable level of willpower to come close.
All he had to do was release himself from each of the chains.
However, certain chains are pierced in vital areas that can be ripped open, leaving Troy at the hands of death. This is one of the traps executed by Amanda Young, who developed a habit to make them inescapable. The impressive aspect of this is the symbolism it carries, as Troy had to break himself apart from the criminal lifestyle that had shackled him for years. Number 15. Needle Pit, Saw 2. The Nerve Gas House has several traps specifically for certain characters, with the Needle Pit being a representation of beating addiction.
I will give you just one hint as to where that key is.
Originally meant as a test for Xavier, it takes a different turn when he forces Amanda to do it instead. There isn't just one needle, but several hundred that form a pit where the key is hidden. Unlike most Jigsaw traps, this one doesn't carry any lethal consequences, but that doesn't make the process of sifting through hundreds of stabbing needles any more pleasant for Amanda. Her success points towards her survivalist attitude and would have been a success had it not been for Xavier's Butterfingers.
No!
Number 14. Pound of Flesh, Saw 6. The games become more brutal with each film, and the 6th installment begins with Eddie and Simone being selected for a test where only one can survive.
The devices on your heads are symbolic of the shackles that you place upon others. You recklessly loan people money.
This is based on who can provide the most flesh before the timer runs out. Losing means getting one skull drilled in by the mechanism on their head.
Who will offer the most flesh in order to save their life? The choice is yours.
With a distinct advantage, Eddie immediately begins handing out his offerings, prompting Simone to think of drastic measures. With seconds left, she braves through the fear and offers up her arm to win as a horrified Eddie meets his end. Having worked as loan sharks, the two are given a gruesome realization that feeding on others' miseries entails a vivid lesson from Jigsaw. Number 13. Angel Trap, Saw 3. This one is designed for those with the bravest of spirits, as sufficient pain needs to be incurred to escape. Allison Carey wakes up to a trap fixed around her ribs. As Jigsaw explains the cost of failure will be Carey experiencing a terrible fate.
You will have 1 minute to find a way out.
She undergoes the test by plunging her hand into acid and retrieving the key at the bottom, remarkably achieving the goal with time to spare. Unfortunately, it turns out to be Amanda's inescapable trap, meaning Carey has to suffer a tragic end to her life despite winning the game. The Angel Trap tests the victim's mental resolve as much as their willpower, as it tested Carey's willingness to live compared to her capacity for pain. Number 12. Grain Silo Trap, Jigsaw. The games in Jigsaw vary in complexity, ranging from simpler tests like the Bucket Room and Needle Trap to brain teasers like the Cycle Trap and the shotgun keys in the film's climax.
Is your key to freedom?
The Grain Silo Trap technically shouldn't have been played, as Ryan begins it by trying and failing to escape. Things get worse when Anna and Mitch are trapped in the silo, as it's up to Ryan to free them at a great personal cost.
If he pulls the lever before you are buried alive, you will live.
Ryan, free yourself to free them.
This trap stands out in the movie for presenting a direct consequence for breaking Jigsaw's rules and giving a selfish character like Ryan a morally conscious decision to make. It's also fun to see how overboard Jigsaw went with placing dangerous weapons in the silo, bringing in an element of dark humor. Number 11. Shotgun Carousel, Saw 6. Jigsaw's practice of giving everybody a chance to live takes a twist in this trap, as the possibility to stay alive for each participant is extremely thin.
6. Ride the carousel. But only 2 can get off.
William is given a choice to save 2 out of 6 people strapped to a carousel, while the others can do nothing but stare down a shotgun barrel in their last moments. Along with the creative design of the carousel, the trap is a good depiction of how William's insurance policies appear if they're shown in the flesh, as the person who comes up with the best argument gets to live. Despite racking up a high kill count, the carousel's scary quality comes with the certainty of death involved.
Please! Reduce the policy!
Number 10. Pig Vat, Saw 3. This trap is relatively lower in intensity compared to the others, although it's ultimately a stomach-churning one.
Get me out of here!
Jeff finds the judge who only gave the man that accidentally killed his son a short sentence at the bottom of a vat.
Now you have the power to sentence his soul straight to hell. Or you can forgive. The key that will free him is hidden inside your son's possessions.
It's hard not to grimace when several pigs' pulped remains begin flowing into the vat and nearly drown the judge. Jeff's task is simple enough, as he needs to burn the belongings of his son to retrieve the key to save the judge's life. However, there's a certain level of pain involved, as the morose Jeff is forced to let go of his son's memory. This trap proves Jigsaw is a master of doling out both physical and emotional pain. Number 9. Knife Chair, Saw 4. Jigsaw considers every trap he designs as his form of poetic justice, and the knife chair is where he wrote his first verse.
Let me go.
I could let you go, but that wouldn't serve you.
After losing his unborn child due to Cecil, Jigsaw, then known as John Kramer, loses his sense of morality and takes justice into his own hands.
I want to play a game.
Upon capturing Cecil, John informs him that the key to Cecil's redemption is to press his face against the set of knives before him, thereby cleansing him of his sins.
Just lean forward.
Having always played against the rules in life, Cecil is forced to comply for once and gets a painful lesson on the consequences of his actions. The knife chair is definitely crude in execution, but its success is what led to John turning into Jigsaw. Number 8. Jeff's Final Test, Saw 3. Using his penchant for double meanings and half-truths, Jigsaw gives Jeff the option to forgive the killer for all the things he's done.
I forgive you.
Jeff thinks he has no way to lose and takes it upon himself to end Jigsaw's life. Unfortunately, he's unaware that Jigsaw's survival is connected to his wife, Lynn's, whose shotgun collar will go off when Jigsaw dies. A horrified Jeff learns that his test isn't only centered around forgiveness, but also holds the fates of other characters.
Now I will give you something to live for.
The brilliance of this trap is how it goes directly in with Peter Strom's own test, who arrives moments later as we see in the next film. The result of Jeff's test is also the key to Hoffman's escape, as he uses Jeff's daughter to brand himself as a hero in the 5th installment. Number 7. Public Execution Trap, Saw 3D.
Somebody help us!
By the events of Saw 3D, Jigsaw no longer has any issue with going public with his traps.
Hello, Brad. Hello, Ryan. I'm gonna play a game.
This one was basically a way to end a love triangle, as the trap involved two men fighting for their romantic interest.
If you wish to save her, then the saws must be pushed all the way to one side.
One person has to die by directing the saw in the other's direction. While Ryan and Brad start off by taking their rivalry to lethal degrees, they come to realize the girl they're fighting over doesn't have genuine feelings for either of them.
You love him?
No!
Ah, you love him more than me?
No! I had to say that!
Deciding to literally cut their losses, the boys turn the blade towards her instead. The remarkable aspect of this trap is how so many people are present but are completely helpless, proving how there are no boundaries where Jigsaw is concerned.
I think we're breaking up with you, Tina.
Number 6. Mausoleum Trap, Saw 4. This trap doesn't start off with any instructions for the victims.
Talk to me!
We watch Art Blank come to and realize he's had his mouth stitched while Trevor, his fellow participant, has had his eyes sealed off. The two have collars attached to their necks that pull them toward a certain doom. Art figures out the key to his victory is placed on Trevor, and the two battle it out before time runs out. While it seems unfair to Trevor, the true way to win was for Art to communicate with Trevor, since he ended up opening the stitches on his mouth anyway. The mausoleum trap also signifies how ruthless Jigsaw can be, as it eventually becomes a straight-up deathmatch. Number 5. Glass Coffin, Saw 5. Nothing could have confirmed Hoffman's inheritance of Jigsaw's tactics better than this trap.
Hello, Agent Strong. If you are hearing this, then you have once again found what you are looking for. Or so you think.
While Agent Peter Strom gets closer and closer to figuring out Hoffman's role as Jigsaw's apprentice, he chases him down to a room containing a glass coffin, which he assumes to be a trap for himself.
I got you.
However, he realizes his mistake upon playing the tape, as Hoffman reveals the coffin is the only way out.
Your body will never be found. You will simply vanish.
It's here when we learn the actual trap is in the room's walls, which begin closing in as a hapless Strom is left with no way out.
Make your choice.
What makes this so memorable is how Strom was given clues right from the beginning and that Hoffman had calculated his every move to ensure that he was sealed in this room forever. Number 4. Furnace, Saw 2. Aubie is the only person who doesn't panic when the victims of the nerve gas house wake up.
You are breathing in the deadly nerve agent. You've been breathing it since you arrived here.
Later, we find out Aubie helped apprehend the others and is forced into a furnace to retrieve the antidotes.
Aubie. It's my name.
Unfortunately for Aubie, his overconfident attitude leads him to underestimating Jigsaw, as he pulls on a chain that activates the furnace and seals him in there. This is one of the first instances where the way to escape is answered in the tape itself, as the devil mentioned by Jigsaw is seen in the furnace. While Aubie meets a painful end, the trap goes a long way in establishing how Jigsaw's traps require victims to play by the rules. Number 3. Acid Room, Saw 6. William Easton is placed in a series of tests where the lives of everyone involved is placed in his hands.
Let it go!
His motivation to see this through is to reunite with his family, who are implied to be the mother and son watching him. However, the film's twist reveals the family belongs to the man William denied insurance to and died as a result.
You're the man that killed my dad.
It also turns out that the real trap of this game is this one, as the mother-son duo have the option to end William by injecting him with acid.
Or would you dispense the same death sentence he issued your husband?
This trap represents a perfect piece of irony, as William was always responsible for deciding the fate of others, only to find himself begging for mercy. Unfortunately, he gets a lethal taste of his own medicine.
Have mercy, please! Did he show mercy when my husband was suffering?
Number 2. Reverse Bear Trap, Saw. As revealed in Jigsaw, this was among the very first traps the titular villain ever made. The original game is more elaborate, as Amanda is required to beat the time and fish the key out of her cellmate, which is easier said than done.
There is only one key to open the device. It's in the stomach of your dead cellmate.
Ironically, despite the reverse bear trap being the most recurring in the series, we only see its successful execution in the 7th film, although it's well worth the wait. What's interesting is how the trap seems inescapable, but can be avoided using clever thinking, as later demonstrated by Hoffman. Even more ironic is that it was only used on Jigsaw's apprentices and his own wife, making it the trap that truly tested them as Jigsaw's legacy.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Bathroom Trap, Saw.
Rise and shine, Adam. You're probably wondering where you are.
The most elaborate trap Jigsaw's ever come up with, the bathroom trap is arguably the most iconic one to come out of the series.
Your aim in this game is to kill Adam. You have until 6 on the clock to do it.
With Lawrence's task to kill Adam and the latter's goal to just survive somehow, the trap is filled with numerous attempts by the men to escape with both their lives intact.
Open it!
Lock. The key. The one from my envelope. Where is it?
With the addition of outside factors like Detective Tapp's involvement and Zepp's role in the events, this is a game that keeps us guessing over what the outcome might be.
Last night I went to your house and I watched you leave. I followed you.
Its minimalist setting allows the mystery of Jigsaw's identity to remain at the back of our minds, and the finale's twist placed the entire trap in perfect context.
His name is John. He has an inoperable frontal lobe tumor.
It's also fitting that the original series ends right here to bring everything to full circle, as seen in Saw 3D.
Game over.
Which Saw traps left a lasting impression on you? Let us know in the comments.
Killing is distasteful to me.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.